$1,000 a month, I am going to be at the post box on time to get that check. If you stop mailing me that check, even though it was just a gift, I'm going to call you and go, "Where's my $1,000? I need that."
I've gotten used to it.
That's right, and I don't have $1,000 either.
You see, you have to also realize that all these, Robert and I have discussed this before, all of these deals that has come down to Mississippi, okay, not one time did anybody in our Senate, our House, our governors requested performance bonds. Not one time. Okay? So they can come in and say they're going to do all kinds of stuff, but they've got nothing to back it up if it's not true. Okay? And nothing, absolutely not a penny should be spent on anything coming into Mississippi without a performance bond. You wouldn't buy a house, you wouldn't have a contractor put up a house for you and not have a performance bond for $250,000. Why are we doing that for millions, not doing that for millions of dollars of our money?
Of our money.
Based on Robert.
Here's one of the things that is, this is what happens when everything starts to disappear. This is a drug kingpin from China, under the Chinese government. This guy worked in the Chinese government, probably in the military, and they're flooding our state with drugs. So not only are they flooding our state with drugs, but they're tearing our people apart. Okay, drugs are massive.
Is this in Mississippi specifically?
Want to go up?
Yeah.
You want to see his picture? Happy looking guy. He's making tons of money off drugs.
Young looking guy.
That's right. He's a businessman. These people don't take drugs.
No, that's
like-
right. They don't.
No, they don't.
See, when I was younger, I lived in an environment of motorcycle gangs. Okay? And everybody thinks of the Hells Angels. They're just crazy, nasty people, right? But there's some things that you can't do when you're in the Hells Angels. You can't do drugs.
Really?
You cannot do drugs.
Sounds good.
You cannot beat on women.
Yeah,
There's a lot of things you can't do. And the reason is that the Hells Angels and these clubs that we see around here, those are your enforcement people for the politicians.
Really?
Want to know why? Because they're the most dependable.
That's right.
They are the most dependable people. If you got to go to prison, you just go. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to have the life of Riley, and you're going to be set up in prison. You're going to have food, you're going to have visitors, you're going to have all kinds of stuff. And when you're done, you come out, you go right back into the life. Okay? It's not a good life, but people have chosen that. The politicians and the people that want to do bad stuff, you can't just hire anybody to go out and murder somebody. You can't just hire somebody to go destroy a business or burn a business down. Because if you get caught, then they're going to go, "Yeah, that guy hired me.
Right.
That Tate Reeves guy, that was the guy." So you can't have that. And as you see, even when they go through these federal RICO deals, when they catch these guys, when they actually got them for whatever they did, they just go to prison. They don't give anybody up. They don't care. They said, "When I get out, I'll have a good life again." Women,
I'll be taken care of. My family's
Yeah.
taken care of while I'm in there. I don't have to worry about nothing.
not a thing. See, this is what not having Jesus Christ as the person who is the leader of our country, this is what happens.
This is what happened.
Absolutely.
Okay, every single piece of this, and there's people in our environment here who know families that are destroyed by this stuff. Destroyed. They can't function. They take their children and do horrible things with their children. I saw a picture, and I know y'all did too. It was on the news. Remember the mother and father that were dead in the front of the car? They had literally OD'd in the car with their children in the back seat.
Yeah.
And when the police officers got there, could you imagine that? When I worked at university, I came in as a maintenance guy. I don't have anything to do with doctrine on anybody. But the problem was that also I was a night guy, so if there was anything happening in the ER, I was slipping in the blood, fixing, you know, if the lights had to be fixed, or the oxygen, or the autoclave, or whatever had to be fixed. You can't, you know, these people are saving a life. You have to go in that and fix it. So I got to see stuff you guys will never see. You remember the story of the little girl who was in her bedroom during the drive-by, and they shot her 4 or 5 times. They shot her in the groin. They literally shot her arm off. When she came in, it was just hanging. The meat of her, there was no bone. It was gone. It was AK-47. This is not okay. There's nothing about this that can be okay. And there's nothing that we shouldn't be doing to stop this. We need to have God back in our governance. We need to have our churches as centers of civics, where we're teaching people what to do and how to do it to be able to be responsible citizens. Because these little blue-haired freaks that are running around on the street, they think that anarchy is cool. They think that Bernie Sanders is a good guy. Okay? That's pretty much what this is about.
The media's backing him up. There's nobody out there saying, no, he's not.
That's right, and that's all they see, they don't even know.
Yeah. I mean,
They have no objectivity
Yeah,
whatsoever.
with technology nowadays, they don't really have an excuse
Okay, 60 minutes.
without doing research.
You got,
again, people get complacent.
And put their
Okay.
blinders
It's
up
not
too.
affecting me and my
They don't
little
wanna do the
world,
research.
so-
Yeah, they're in a bubble.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, this is about Vinod Kasala. This is the guy who is the founder of Sun Microsystems. Okay, and he's Microsystems. Okay, and he is invested with Haley Barbour, and so he has a big footprint in Mississippi, and he has failed businesses everywhere. These guys are 60 Minutes went after him, and they're talking about all kinds of stuff that was failing.
Intentionally.
Right, because what happens is he doesn't care. He's not losing any money. You are. You are. We're the ones that are paying the bills for the research and development of these programs. Okay? This one is about, I don't know what this one's about. Green tech? Anyway, I got one I think that's right next to this one. Yeah, KIOR. Clarion Ledger article. Texas company KIOR hoodwinked Mississippi for $75 million, documents show. But what they put down on paper is never what we actually lost. Okay, but they're talking about Haley Barbour and biofuel KIOR, and we built a plant, okay, and so, you know, $400 million. I mean, there's all kinds of numbers thrown around here. That's why 75 million. I know there was 150 million. There's another 69 million, 55 million. You know, I mean, I'm not that smart, but I know 69 million and 55 million is more than 75 million. Okay, but there's a really interesting thing about this also. Ronnie Musgrove. That was, Barbour talked to this guy about Ronnie Musgrove because they were trying to figure out how to keep out of the hot seat in the corruption thing. Okay, that's what that's about. And so anyway, they worked on this, and I'm trying to get, this isn't the right one. I got another one. There it is. Yeah, there it is. Biofuels Digest. See, this stuff isn't all in this country. That's why the lobby guys are really important. I wanted you to read this one sentence here. Let me find it. This is like these guys are on the world stage that are selling these little ideas that they got. I think it's down at the bottom. Hold on, just hang in, because you got to read this.
$600 billion.
There you go. I found it. Take KIOR for example, an outstanding technology using southern pine to make cellulosic biofuels at scale and impressive margins. It's $250 million per pop for a KIR plant. The feedstock costs $72 per bone dry ton, and there are a couple of hundred million of tons available. Tons in the terms of measurement. It's a value proposition that has a lot of investors salivating all over the world. You get Haley Barber and Vinod Khosla as your partners. Not bad at all. Cost you $1.6 billion to get in. We lost $75 million. You see what happened. They laid out a platform where, and you're reading this, right? It's right up there. You can read it. Everybody wanted to be in on it, and it only cost you $1.6 billion to be in on it. And what KIR was a research plant. They're doing the research on our dime. They're building the product as they go. They just put one together in Mississippi, and we paid $75 million to put it together. And then, as it was operating, they're selling other people on the other side of the world to be partners in the technologies. In other words, you can buy one and have one put in Ukraine. Buy one and put one in Russia. Buy one and put one in, well, you can't put one in Saudi Arabia because it's all sand. You ain't got no trees. Okay? But you can put one in Thailand or Vietnam, or you can put one in
America.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Do you understand? You're starting to grasp what's happening. It's not politics. It's a shell game. That's what we're trying to get to, and we're almost done. Which I'm sure everybody. I'm surprised we didn't hear a round of applause there. Okay, hold on one second. Twin Creeks, the same thing. Twin Creeks and KIR. Again with Vinod Khosla, you guys will get this. You get to see the Jackson Free Press. That was fun. KIR files for bankruptcy.
Top right corner.
Well, they're not going to let me play that one. I don't want to sign up for Jackson Free Press. Tax dollars down the drain, same thing. It's just a thing that's it's about Haley Barber, it's about Vinod Khosla, it's about money just going down the drain. Okay, and next thing is Obama and China. Green activists. We don't think of Obama here. Obama's here. Biden's here. This is not an isolated thing. Okay? So you see that these people they got them all out in the street. They're all doing the work of these guys. Now, the last thing is going to be this. Oh, there it is. Come on. The last thing is going to be this. If it'll load.
Didn't look like you clicked it, Robert.
It's probably as tired as you guys are.
Maybe double clicked it? Doesn't look like it. There you go.
Oh, there it is. It loaded. There's Cindy Hyde Smith. Her conservative voting record is 33%.
Yep.
There's Roger Wicker. His conservative voting record is 36%. They're Democrats. Matter of fact, they're so far at the bottom scale of Democrats, they're almost socialists. With Benny Thompson, who's at 11. Stephen Palazzo at 50. The biggest guy we got is Trent Kelly at 77. And Michael Guest at 73. Okay? That's pretty much it, guys. I do have something I really wanted to show you, which was a Glenn Beck deal, which was talking about China and the Muslim Brotherhood and all these different factors, and where he's begging you, he's telling us, I've been trying to tell you, and that's what we're doing. That's where we're at. Now, we need to be able to put people together. We need to build up a team of people that are all working to help us build a structure that we can use, because now that you know this, you can't unsee this. Okay? And it's not stuff I dreamed up in my head.
Obviously not.
This is stuff that's written down and is presented by everybody from Wall Street Journal, business journals, foreign investment magazines. All this stuff is sound reporting for years and years and years. Act Blue is frightening. Act Blue is frightening, and they're here. They've been here for 13 years. We don't even know who they are. Anybody want to ask any questions or close this out in any way? We certainly need a prayer to close this out.
I do want to present one thing that we haven't really discussed too much because we're learning this information. But to me, probably one of the most important things that Trump did in his election is end the restriction on our preachers. Okay? And even ours, which didn't really act like he wanted to get involved, got involved. Because now he could. Okay? And at the end of the sermon, you realize what he was talking about was our individual freedoms and told us to vote accordingly.
Right.
Okay? And if you stop and think about the number of people who are either climate changers or all the rest of them, I would say at least still 90% of them go to church. Okay, we're not an unreligious country. They haven't been able to stop that. But a lot of people count on our preachers to make them feel that their decisions are credible.
That's true.
Up and above what they hear on television, because a lot of people in this country realize that our news media is not our friend.
Yes.
And they're looking for people to say, you're right, you need to vote for your freedom. And when the preachers start pushing this, I mean, we watch television. I mean, you got these guys when they have 10 sermons a Sunday because there's so many people there. Hundreds of thousands of people. They have more power than any politician. And if they're preaching the Word of God and we follow the Word of God, Act Blue is down the toilet.
That's right.
That's exactly right. That's
Okay? All this corruption stuff is down the damn toilet.
Robert knows for sure, because I've been talking to him on the phone a lot
Right.
about my position too. If Jesus is the answer, period. Just
Right, exactly.
full stop, period, that's it. So the question
End of
is,
discussion.
this begs the question though, how did our country get this way if we're so Judeo-Christian based constitution and the vast majority of people's behinds are sitting up in the pew every Sunday? How did we get here?
Because
That's my question. I think we have a bunch of disobedient children of the Lord.
well,
That's what we really have.
We did.
But the
Yeah, and they're
news
just,
media-
and
the
why
news
are they
media is not
disobedient
producing
though?
it as being
Why? There's
disobedient.
only one word. Why are the children of God so disobedient?
But the news
Starts with
media
an
is
F,
not presenting it
ends
to
with an
you
R,
as being
There's an EA in
disobedient.
the middle.
A lot of.
Fear.
A lot of.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
That's true.
Well, that's
But
true,
they
too.
get
Afraid
our
of
colleges and our
every
schools, and
single
they're
darn
brainwashing our
thing.
children.
God is
Right.
not the author of fear.
Well, we
And
want-
he
Satan is the author of
commands us
fear.
be thou
Right.
not afraid.
We
That's
want-
a command, that's not a suggestion.
Exactly.
We need to be able to understand that we have 3 quadrants that I can identify. And I can't, you can see there's so much stuff. It's just, I can do this for months. Okay, and the stuff that I have in my head gives me a perspective of what's happening and who's involved. And there's so many more people than I was even able to present here. And isn't that enough? Okay, if you will consider that the southern part of our state, when you talk about coming from Texas to Florida, with the apex being Memphis. When you talk about Canada to Mexico, with the apex being Colorado. When you talk about coming from Canada to Georgia, with the apex being Detroit and Chicago. Then you have the 3 mafia zones that are ruling this country.
Wow.
You have the people on the West Coast, like the Feinsteins and the Gavin Newsoms and all. They're all family. Most of these people are all family. They're all related.
Yeah.
Okay? They're destroying California. Okay?
And New York.
The bottom of the country, we're going away from our religion. That was what the South was. They even made a joke about it. Our guns and Bibles.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a joke to us. Okay, but it's becoming less of a reality, and we can't let that happen. And then the East Coast is going to be Schumer and Pelosi from the West Coast, and all these other actors. And then we're playing heavily into some foreign people, the Muslims, the Somalians, and all these people that are flooding into these areas, and they're causing uprisings that are what we see in the streets. I mean, it's crazy. Why would you burn where you live? That's nuts.
Animals
Because they don't
don't
live there.
destroy where they live.
Well, because what
We're
happened
lower than
is...
animals. Holy
No,
cow.
here's what happened. This is real. This is no kidding. What happened?
The ones that
What
are
would
destroying
happen
don't
was-
live there.
Then the federal government would come in and put a couple $1 billion on top of you so you could rebuild. It didn't matter how often you burn it down. We'll just give you some more money. But you don't get the money. The politicians get the money, which they waste. Illinois and Chicago especially are famous for it.
Selfishness and greed.
It's almost a joke up there.
Oh, look what that one gal showed in Detroit. Where's all the money the government's been giving us
Right.
for this area as she walks down the road with garbage everywhere and houses
Oh,
and
in
left.
Baltimore.
Yeah,
Can't
Oh,
place
fine.
it.
Yeah,
She
Fine.
lost that election. I
Classic.
doubt it.
I doubt it
And
too.
John James in Michigan, I doubt that they lost.
Now that we know what's
And,
happening with
I
our
know.
election,
Place it.
I know.
Okay.
And what's the man who challenged Maxine Waters in California? He also lost? I don't think so.
No.
So let me pull this. Let me pull this together because we need to have some continuity. You can't, like I said, you can't unsee what you've seen. I need to have your input. I need to have you go home and think about it because it's a lot of stuff. I put a lot of stuff on you guys. I want you to go home and think about it. We have to take the Tea Party back. We just have to. Or we have to figure out something else. We have to have some plans. We're going to have to start making some plans of stuff to do. I'm one person, and you can see, I'm not getting in the car to drive a whole bunch of places unless somebody's coming to help me. Okay? That's just not in my wheelhouse anymore. And I used to go everywhere. Everywhere. Every minute you ever asked me, I would drop everything and go. But I can't do that anymore. And I can't be around a lot of people because of the virus. And so I have to be a little more careful than I used to be. But I still have the information, and it's still in my head. So I can go debate anybody. I used to debate Wicker, remember? And Harper. They didn't like me.
well,
And Cochran.
if any of you
Yeah.
have any kind of influence with some of these radio announcers that we hear that are not, you know, that are essentially of the same mindset as us,
Right.
he needs to get on the radio and talk about this stuff.
Oh, he can get on Kim Wade's show for sure.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You gotta get the
That's
information
easy.
out there. And to your thought about, you know, starting
That's a
your
good
own
idea.
organization there,
Right.
we don't need to go that far. Okay? The Tea Party is sitting there ready for us to take it back, which
Yes.
makes it a lot
A
simpler
lot easier.
Yeah.
than trying to reform another group,
Entity.
which eventually we're gonna be in battle with the Tea Party anyhow.
I think the Tea Party, what I saw, they took a left turn, not the kind of left I'm talking about, but they kind of went off point when they started talking about other stuff besides money. You know, because we were going to the meetings every month in Johnson County, Texas, Tea Party. And then they started talking about different topics that didn't have anything to do with money directly.
Right.
I say the money, the connection to money, our own paycheck, our own taxes that are
Right.
taken out is enough material to last you forever. Having
Right.
monthly meetings and talking
And
about
see, I
just your
think
taxes.
I think what ended up happening with a lot of this stuff was that we ended up with some leaders. In other words, anytime you're going to kind of do this kind of stuff, you're going to have some people that have management skills. They just have to. Okay, that's going to be the more affluent, and that's going to be the more professional people that have got those talents. Not saying that somebody like me couldn't do it, but it's not normally in my wheelhouse. There's other people that can do that kind of stuff and be better at it. I will do the groundwork, and that's what you need to do, is you need to find those people. But what ended up happening with them, because we didn't structure it properly in the first go round, which gives us an opportunity this time to restructure it better. We ended up going to the Hilton. We were having lunch at the Hilton. we were all kind of still talking about stuff, but it ended up where the politicians were taking them around and, you know, glad handing them. Pretty soon they were doing they weren't with us, they were with those guys.
Right.
More they were with these guys than they were with us. Then they would come up in the meeting and they would tell you, well, I had a really good lunch with Tate, and, you know, Tate's telling us this and that. Well, Tate's a scum. Why are we listening to Tate? What are you talking to? You know, what are we going to do about us? Education system is a nightmare in Mississippi. The woman who runs it makes $307,000 a year. Okay? Last time that Bryant gave her a couple $1 million because the kids, remember, we needed money for the kids. Not one dime went to the kids. It all went to administration. And everybody was mad, but nobody stopped her. Okay? $307,000 is the same money that the Vice President of the United States makes. It's just barely $90,000 less than the President of the United States makes. It is twice as much as a federal senator makes. And the education system is a nightmare. So not only is she not talented at it, not only is she not fixed anything, but she doesn't have any job insecurity.
And she's hired people that don't do nothing, that just want bigger paychecks.
So there's a common thread about
They're
what
not
y'all are
interested in
saying,
teaching
and
the truth.
there's a common thread about everything you put up on the TV. It's a common thread. Money.
Common thread, common cause?
Common
Common
thread.
thread.
Oh,
Money.
common thread, yes.
Money. That's the common thread through everything you've
Well,
presented.
if you-
Everything.
If you can think of the country in those three quadrants,
Yeah.
okay, you have three mafia heads that are running three parts of the country. We have nothing whatsoever. There's no input. They tell us, hey, what would you like to say? Okay?
Show
But
me
when
the
you
money.
say something, they go, hey, and don't forget to come again. And you know, you're going to
Yeah.
donate to my campaign, right? Because you love me. I know you love me. And that's it. They shake your hand, they pat you on the back, and then they're gone.
But the common thing amongst everybody, if you want to have a representation of every single group, and I hate demographics, but if you pick a person, every single solitary group that exists, they have one thing in common: money.
Right.
Because everybody looks at their paycheck. And
know-
that's what the Tea Party, that's what the draw was. Because in Johnson County, when they had a Tea Party rally, and it was on the news, they say, oh my gosh, look at all the different people coming together at a Tea Party rally.
But the one thing that
It's because
Trump
they have
did that was
something in
different in
common.
that was, you know, we keep saying the Democrats like they're evil people. Well, they're evil leaders, but the people are just trying to survive. Trump went in there and actually did something. Everybody else talked about it. I would go into meetings in the battlefield where the people would go, you know, we're gonna open a business, and we got money from them Trump people. They were talking about Trump in a battlefield meeting. You couldn't be more Democrat than be in that place. Okay, but all of a sudden things were happening in the neighborhood, and they were all around Trump.
That's right.
So all we have to do is what we already know to do. We've got to be Christian. We have to be faithful in what we do. We have to be accurate in what we do. We have to use the tough love. No, I'm not going to give you money for drugs. We'll make sure that you get dried out. We'll get you a job. We'll start to build you back up so that you're a productive citizen, but you can't have no money for drugs. I live in that. I live in that neighborhood. I have children that age right there that are walking the street prostituting themselves with babies on their hip.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm a hard guy. That breaks my heart.
It does. Mine too.
I don't want to see that. And you know, I go to them and say, hey, what can I do to help you? But you can't. Crack is so powerful that of all the years that I've tried out there on Galton Street, I think one or two. I probably went through 80 people that I tried to help. I know one because I put her on the bus back to Texas to her family. Okay? I know one that disappeared, was supposed to go to her family, but I don't know what the end of it was. The rest of them I can see until they die.
The draw to me is people's
Right.
everyday living situation, and it doesn't matter if you're making $20,000 a year or $250,000 a year. You're gonna look at your paycheck or your income stream, whatever that would be, and you're gonna look at it and you're gonna see if it's impacted in any way that adversely affects you. And that's why the Tea Party was powerful. So if you can get somebody who, and even if you're on assistance, even if you're on food stamps, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, I got $400 last month on food stamps, I only got $250, what's going on? It impacts people, and I think that's where you have to get, that's my opinion, that's why the Tea Party was so successful. But when they started veering off into other areas, because one month I was a speaker for a Tea Party meeting in Texas, and they said, oh, DeBoer, we want you to come and talk about race in the party and being conservative and black, and I go, why? It's a Tea Party meeting. Y'all supposed to be talking about money and taxes and how our government isn't doing it. No, we want you to talk about that. I said, okay, fine. So I did, and I thought, this is not right, because it goes away from the message that brings everybody together. Everybody has an income from somewhere, and when that income starts getting impacted, or when you see your taxes are going into something that's not serving you anymore, that's going to get your attention. That's just my opinion, what I think. And then from there, you start going into all the other areas that touch my heart, like the Lord. But I'm not going to tell him about the Lord straight up front, but he's going to come up eventually in the conversation. And then the Lord will bring you a way to bring him up.
Well, that's exactly the point that I was bringing up earlier. People just didn't understand why, or didn't know why, we were losing money on all these businesses. And it was extremely simple. They weren't requiring a performance bond.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, a simple thing that
It
saves
costs us money.
Okay, how come you got your taxes raised this year? Well, we threw $750 million after this, but we didn't get anything off of it because we didn't ask for a performance bond. What? What?
Exactly. They're going to start questioning, and that's what you want people to
That's
do,
what
is
you want to do.
question.
That's exactly.
You want people to question.
Robert, can I say something?
Yes, honey, you can go that way or that way. You do it.
Which way's the
Okay.
Well,
Robert,
you got to go around Robert, so.
yeah, I want to say something. Your presentation is eye-opening, it's stunning, and you are actually very good at giving it. You've outlined a situation as it really is, in part, but it's even far worse than what you've outlined. We
Y'all want to come back tomorrow?
No. What I'm
Next
saying,
week.
No,
what I want to say,
Sunday. I know where I'm going.
what I want to say is, we can't win.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, there's only one thin thread of hope.
Yeah.
And if that one breaks, we're toast. It is an unwinnable battle. Only one thing can change it, and that is direct intervention by God himself
Absolutely.
into this whole gigantic mess. There's an excellent article by Michael Brown on WorldNet Daily. You can get it. And he does a far better job than I could of outlining how serious just the election side of it is. When you see the corruption, you're not going to, by argument, persuade any of these politicians to start doing right.
No,
They won't
no,
do
they're
it.
gone.
They won't do it. Most of them, if they're not just corrupt, they're blackmailed where they can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Our one hope, God said in 2 Chronicles 7, if my people, you and me, if those who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and I will heal their land.
Right.
God can do with the snap of his
That's
fingers what all of our organizing and politicking could do for 1,000,000 years and could never get anything done. We cannot win this battle. This is a case where we have to find the will of God and we have to pray that his will be done. We have to become cooperative with what he is doing. God is active in this country. He has a plan. He's at work. He's active. And that plan and that work can involve educating people. It can involve organizing an activist group and taking political and campaigning issues. There's all this stuff that we will be required to do. But we first have to get God and get ourselves in line with Him so that what He's doing will be fruitful. If we don't, all the rest of this is pointless.
That's exactly what we were talking about coming up here. We were talking about being prepared no matter what. Like he says that we won't win. Well, we know. I read the last book. Okay, so
Yeah.
we don't win here on earth, but we have to still do like you just said. We still have to be involved, but know what's coming so that you don't freak out. The best thing is just to know what the truth is, what is really going to happen, what you're facing, what can possibly, and be prepared so that you're not afraid. And because if you're afraid, you're toast.